Hello, I'm Jamie Knack, and I'm reporting from SDG Live here at the World Economic Forum annual meeting. I'm pleased to be here with, on my left, Ida Auken, Member of Parliament from Denmark, and also a co-chair of the Circulars Awards. And also, here is David Rachelson, Head of Sustainability from Rubicon Global. It was a real honor for me to serve as a judge of the Circulars this year, the 3rd annual Circulars Awards. And I'd love for you to share and just describe in your own words, Ida, what is the circular economy?
So the circular economy is actually a sort of an opposition to the linear economy that we have been having for the last hundreds of years, where we take some materials, we use them for something, a product of some kind, and we waste them and burn them or put them in a dumpster or something. But in the circular economy, you actually want to take the materials and keep them in the economy, keep them in the loop. So you want to not only recycle, but you want to design things so that they last, so that they can be recycled and reused. So it's a whole different mindset where you design for actually keeping the materials in the economy, not burning them or leaving them in the dumpster. And this is so important because we are soon 7 billion people on this planet, and we all want computers and cars and houses, and we don't have enough materials. So if we keep losing them out of the economy, we will not be able to have enough for everyone. So the reason why I love the circular economy is that it's just such a beautiful way of tying growth and environment together. It doesn't have to be this eternal fight between the two. If you design it right from the beginning, you can have both environment and growth at the same time.
Fantastic, and it ties so well to the Sustainable Development Goals, and also it ties to how public and private can work together. I know, David, you are a winner this year, so congratulations to you and Rubicon.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor and privilege to have been awarded the Circulars Award for Digital Disruptor this year.
Digital disruptor, that's fantastic. What does that mean? How does a business like Rubicon Global, based in Atlanta, weave the circular economy into your business model?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a technology and digital and data company that is out there to try and find a different way to dispose of materials so that landfills are not the option or the default way to get rid of materials, as Ida just said. And so what we do is we empower small businesses, haulers, people who actually move the waste and recycling with technology. And we find and we've created an incentive structure that does not create profit out of putting materials in the landfill. Instead, it creates profit out of putting materials in recycling, composting, or other circular ways. So ultimately, what we've been able to achieve at Rubicon is a way to empower and create jobs in some of the most Main Street, middle America, if you will, and deliver the circular economy to the everyday citizen. And so that's what we're really proud of, and technology is underpinning how we do that.
Great. And now the circular economy really only works if the people get engaged, right? If the people are interested. So behavior change and getting people out of the old way of thinking into this new and innovative way of thinking of reusing what we have is so important. So my work, I developed a company called One Drop Interactive focused on behavior change and educating both employees and consumers on sustainability. And so what I wanted to ask you, Ida, is from the government perspective, you're a member of Parliament in Denmark. How has the government reached out to the people and really brought them into this effort?
So when I was Minister for the Environment, we actually took all our waste plans and said, no, let's do resource plans. Let's talk about this as not something we want to get rid of, but something that actually has a value. So my feeling and my experience was that people out there understood it right away, that this makes sense. I mean, that what you throw out actually has a value, that if you put, food waste into a bin, it's actually better to turn it into biogas and put it back on the soil than to just burn it. Or that if you put electronic waste, that it has all of these metals, gold and everything. So of course, as governments, we should set the framework, but we should also really engage people in wanting to be part of this, because it is sometimes, it could be a little more difficult in the beginning, but then it becomes a habit and people really, I think, want to do it and want to be part of this. So that is what we are trying to do. Besides that, I think working with companies that are really making this happen is important, because they are the ones who can bring it to people as good solutions, as something that will create jobs for them or new ways of consuming in a much better way.
And we're here in Davos, and I'm sure people are wondering, how are we incorporating the circular economy in Davos for attendees to really experience it. And there's one story I'd like to share. There's a fellow young global leader, David Hertz, who's developed a movement called social gastronomy. He's here cooking meals, catered beautiful Brazilian meals, out of what would normally be considered food waste items, so food that wouldn't have been served. And he's serving delicious meals. So that's a great example of how we're able to show what the circular economy is in real life, and people can actually taste it. Are there any other examples you'd like to share, Dave?
Well, I think what Ida referred to about the role that leadership that municipalities has is very important. And so, at Rubicon, we strive to partner with cities to help them in a smart way, smart cities, if you will. So one example is the city of Atlanta uses Rubicon's technology on their municipal solid waste trucks. So now the public servants and the leaders of the city of Atlanta have access to recycle rates, access to diversion rates, access to route efficiencies, and ultimately it will allow the city officials to be more effective and efficient in how they service their citizens and help them promote the circular economy. So public-private partnerships and deploying technology in smart cities is something that I think is very important as well.
If I could mention a few examples that actually come pretty close to everyday life and people out there, what they consume, okay. I would mention maybe like Nike, that was one of our winners. They have created a shoe just basically made out of waste materials, and that can be recycled again. So instead of burning it or throwing it away, they now have a material of some kind of value. Or we could mention another of our winners, which was Patagonia, who sort of said, we don't want you to buy more than you actually need. We want to give you something that lasts, and we want to give you something that can be repaired. And I mean, that is not the mentality of all companies. So spreading that message from the circulars, from people working with all of this, from the SDG Live team and UN Foundation, I think it's extremely important. And my feeling here in Davos is actually, we used to be on the side and talking to ourselves, and now this movement has actually come into the heart of Davos and into the conference center and talking to like mainstream big business.
Yeah. And it really represents a collaborative movement. So I'm small business, we have, you mentioned Nike and Patagonia, big business, government, and I think the individual is a big player. It really only works if the individual, all of the millions of people out there get involved. So any other resources, we're wrapping up here, but any other resources or websites that people could look to if they want to find out more information?
Well, one of the thought leaders on the circular economy is, of course, what is called Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and they took like the philosophical ideas of cradle to cradle, which is the original idea, and they had McKinsey crunch all the numbers, and I think that is one of the reasons why this has become mainstream, because they basically looked at all sectors, they looked at plastic waste, they look at agriculture, and they show what is the economic potential. So if you go on their webpage, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, or follow the circulars, hashtag the circulars, fantastic. Then you can see a lot of people posting things.
Great. Thank you, Ida. Thank you, David. It's Absolutely. Been a pleasure.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Reporting live from SDG Live.